Right, we're back. Don't talk with your mouth full, but this is good.
I'm busy preparing for my final plunge.
Da, 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 da.
And that will be the end of any further words that will come out from my mouth.
So please do not eat it yet because I still have more questions. Sorry, we had to take a pause there because there was a birthday celebration that went on at the back. It's becoming really loud. Okay, now you're known now as the VP of Groupon Asia.
Yep.
Right? So that means your market is not just Asia.
Southeast Asia, right?
It is Southeast Asia right now. It's not just Malaysia, it is now Southeast
Yep.
Asia. Tell us about a typical day in the life of yourself.
Yep. So like earlier this year, after a great performance of growing Groupon in Malaysia, they gave me a role to actually be a VP in Southeast Asia. Yeah? And so I took up the opportunity because I felt it's a great learning curve to see what the internet industry was like, or what the e-commerce industry was like across countries in Southeast Asia. So, so it started off a little bit peculiar because I think of the working hours. So I had to adjust between some of my colleagues who were working in Chicago or in California, and also some colleagues who were working in Europe. Yeah, so to some extent, like the first few months, I had to work around the clock.
Right.
So I started to realize I was sleeping later and later, and at one point of time I was sleeping at 7 a.m. and waking up at like 1 p.m.
Right.
Because of trying to catch
Time
up.
differences.
Yeah,
That's 4 time zone blocks there.
Yep.
We're talking about here: Europe, Eastern Seaboard, West Coast, and also Asia.
Yeah. So I think that was the final straw for me. That's when I realized that okay, I've got to have a tighter schedule. And since a month ago, I've actually switched to sleeping a little bit earlier, at somewhere before midnight, and waking up at 4-5 a.m. so that I could capture all the different time zones from US, Europe, and Asia. Yeah.
Right.
So how my working schedule comes about is that every morning, usually I catch up with some of my colleagues in the States, because that would be like somewhere in the evening, their time. Then once I'm done with that, I quickly check in the office, and check in my team, and also check in with some of my counterparts across Southeast Asia. Usually I get that done by lunch. And after lunch, I'll be probably licensing some of my counterparts from Europe. So that will be like morning their time. So
right after this, it's Europe then?
Yeah, right after this is Europe, yeah. So, but I say generally it's quite flexible. So it really depends on what the priorities of the organization is, and really helping the countries get the support they need from our HQ, which is in Chicago, and also in Switzerland. So we've got 2 HQs because we've got about 48 countries in Groupon globally, and these countries are sort of split between these 2 HQs.
So now that 9 years in being an entrepreneur and 9 years in doing fantastic work that gets instant, sort of like I feel that what you do gives you instant gratification because you see it happen, evolving, exploding in front of you. So 9 years on right now, what are the things that excites you the most? Be it on a day-to-day basis or even on a long-term basis?
Well, I answer this question like as an engineer, as what I studied, but I didn't really practice it. I guess what we get excited about is numbers. So generally, since I was young, I love math, and I like it when to see numbers, numbers that make sense and that grows. So I think every day, what's important for me is to measure the improvements and the performances that we have as a country, and also as a global company. So it's as an internet company as well. I think what's great is that we get results. We can measure results really quickly. So every day we have different dashboards we look at, and we can see instantaneous improvements where we put effort in. So I think that's quite enjoyable, and like you said, instant gratification is very much aligned in an internet company as compared to maybe different industries where you see results taking place over months. But for an internet company, it takes place over hours.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So when you make a decision, you make good decisions, you see improvements and changes in the numbers, within a couple of days.
Is there a formula that you hold close to yourself, and perhaps don't mind sharing if there is one, of how to actually get an internet business to really roll?
Yep.
To move from that startup to the scaled up stage.
Yep. So I would say that there are two phases that I'll break down an internet company towards. So the first phase is the startup phase. Yeah. So I think the startup phase is about getting the right idea and making sure that that idea has traction with users. So once you've gotten a good idea with good traction, then you move into the second phase, which is to be really focused on what are the drivers that would grow the company, and really focus on those drivers and make sure that keeps improving and increasing. So take for example, like the Groupon idea. So when we started GroupsMore, within the first few weeks, we knew that there was a right idea. And there were ideas before that we launched from YouthAsia that didn't really have that traction. So we started it, after a few weeks, we only had like 20 people using it. And after a few more weeks, we had 25 people using it. And we felt the traction wasn't there. So, but for GroupsMore and Groupon, there was that natural traction. So our first use sold 200 plus vouchers. So that showed that people wanted the services and the products we were selling. So then it's all about focusing now on like, how do we make sure that we keep this growing? So when we first started, what was important is to make sure we get great deals and a lot of great deals. So as soon as we got a lot of great deals, naturally we realized we had more and more people subscribing to it. So every time we put up a great deal, we had thousands of people sharing it at the initial stage with their friends, and we had thousands of people buying it as well. So all we did was, in the first 6 months, was to focus predominantly on who are the best merchants out there, what was the best use we can get by working with them, and putting it on Groupon. So then as we started to evolve as an organization, we realized that priorities changed. So then we needed to shift our focus again on what were the new drivers of the business. So I'd say that in overall, I think it's really finding the right idea and focusing on the right things after that to make sure that whatever that the company is focusing on is really helping the company to grow.
Right, I see. Okay. Well, it's very apparent that you've done all the thinking right now. So it's now all about doing.
Yeah.
What are your nearest plans then? How do you further improve what you already are?
So I would say that right now in the role that I'm in Groupon, the challenge that we face is that different countries have very different internet maturity. And the Groupon in the different countries are also a different size and a different stage. So what's next for us is that how do we grow all the countries in Asia? In Asia we have 12 countries. How do we grow all these 12 countries so that in the next year or so, we become a very big contributing part of Groupon globally.
Right.
So at this point of time, I would say Asia is about a year in terms of maturity behind the European and the US markets, a year or two. But how can we accelerate that in a faster way?
Right, I see. Well, we can only wish you the very best of luck with that, and I have a feeling because it's got this guy's stamp on it, it'll be fine. It'll be okay. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Dino.
For your time.
All right.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay.
After you, yeah.
This is where we say goodbye, and thank you so much for watching.
And you will not hear any more from me after this.
That's it. This is where we say thank you for watching, and we will see you again next week. And cheers.